Welcome back, guys. This is Thomas, and it has been an exciting year for Marvel Legends, and I want to do my top 10. It's that time of year again, so everyone else is doing it. Gonna jump on that bandwagon, so we're gonna go through my top 10 favorite Marvel Legends of 2024. Before I get into my top 10, I've already gone through this list on a live stream with the 3POA laser pens and rectangular, so if you want to go back and watch that. But I figured I'd already have my list. Let me put it together. I made a few tweaks here and there, but overall it's pretty much the same. But, you know, there's some movie stuff, there's some comic stuff. Overall, I think it was a good year for Marvel Legends. So with that being said, let's get into it. For my number 10 pick, I'm going with the Army Builder Sentinel 2-pack. And these were a nice plus for the year. You know, I really wasn't expecting these. I guess my one gripe and critique that I've heard from some other friends is the color. They are a little too pink, even though they are pretty accurate to the video game. But I think it's a cool Army Builder. It gives you a chance to put some extra Sentinels in your display. I have them in with my HasLab Sentinels, so I think there might be hope that maybe they can repackage these, match the color of the HasLab, and then maybe you can take that Master Mold head and put it onto your other Sentinel. I wish these were slightly bigger. I didn't really read anything about them before buying them. I think it was a cool little Easter egg when they teased that they were making these with this rock. I guess they would lift this over their head and toss it in the video game. So that was cool. And then one other thing I like about these figures is the digitized kind of head print. So I think that came out really cool. So, you know, maybe there's hopes in the future of a release of these in more of the HasLab colors, and I'll probably buy some more if they do that. For my number 9 pick, I'm going with the Iron Man Wave She-Hulk. I love this figure. I know a lot of us have been waiting for this particular She-Hulk. I think some of us even might want the other two-tone jumpsuit, but for now, this one will do. I'm not buying any more She-Hulks. Hasbro played me, or I guess I played myself, because I bought this one at the time where this is really our only She-Hulk, and then a year later, the same exact figure, I bought this one. So now I have these two She-Hulks that I don't want. I'm gonna probably try to sell these on eBay, but finally we got the She-Hulk that we've been asking for, and I think it's a great figure. The sculpt is great. It's pinless, got the two-tone on the hair. I love the face sculpt. I think that looks really good, and she's just a really big, thick figure, and I think they really nailed it. I don't think we've gotten an oversized figure like this. I don't have Titania yet. I'm hoping to get her to kind of pair them together. And she does come with a small accessory. Pretty cool. I like this bent gun. You know, long gone are the days where she'll come with like a big car that she's lifting over her head. But I think finally getting this representation of She-Hulk on the shelf has been pretty nice this year. Coming up at number 8, we have this deluxe movie Let There Be Carnage figure. I hated the movie. I watched it in the theaters. I went by myself to see it because nobody wanted to go see it with me, rightfully so. It was terrible then, and then when I got the figure, I actually did rewatch the movie and tried to give it another chance, and same outcome as the first time. Still a terrible movie, but this is one of those circumstances where the figure actually is really good. And this applies to some other things, but this figure, even if you don't like the movie, can fit in your comic display. For me, I'm putting him in my No Way Home display. I think it's just cool to kind of round out that roster with a whole bunch of villains that maybe never even interacted together, but he still looks good there. So looking at the details on this figure, you know, I'm pretty impressed with the face sculpts. I like the charred paint and all the different sculpt of the tentacles. I think that's really cool. The different hands that he gets with the accessory blades and the sickle, I think that's really awesome. Then when you add these tendrils on, I think it looks really friggin' cool. And again, this one could fit in your comic display, it can fit in your movie display, so it's a little versatile there, but I'd rather these deluxe bigger figures with that slightly higher price point, because Sometimes if it's a Build-A-Figure wave, which I do love my Build-A-Figures, but if there's figures in that wave you don't want, now you're stuck with them. I have a whole bunch I'm trying to get rid of. So if they did more kind of oversized figures in that deluxe style, I'd be happy. If it's a whole wave that I probably want the Build-A-Figure anyway, then I don't have a problem. But, you know, getting this figure in one shot was great, and I didn't have to buy a bunch of other characters. So Carnage, number 8. For my number 7 pick, I'm going with Phoenix, and this one was so highly anticipated. There was a 2-pack of Cyclops and Phoenix years ago where that thing was super expensive on the aftermarket. So luckily I held out. I didn't go pick that up. We got this great upgraded pinless Phoenix. We got the red Dark Phoenix last year, so it's just a simple reuse of that buck, which I'm okay with. But I think the big seller here is the accessory piece. So this could be used with your Dark Phoenix. You might be able to use this in some other characters or some other lines. But for me, it just is a really cool centerpiece on the display. And to finally have this figure without spending that extra money is actually really nice. They did an amazing job on the face sculpt, so I think she came out really good. And that one you can probably swap out onto the other bodies if you wanted to. So the articulation on the Phoenix is actually pretty cool. So I didn't even know that was there until messing around with it earlier. So I think it's a great addition to an X-Men display, and that's my number 7, Phoenix. And for my number 6 pick, I'm going with Spider-Man from the VHS 2-pack with Spider-Man and Vulture. I know this isn't the best constructed Spider-Man, the best articulated Spider-Man, but aesthetically it has everything I'm looking for that animated series look. At the time when the retro carded Spider-Man came out, that was thought to be the best. It still had pins, and you can see the red pins throughout his costume. So this one was just a cool update, and you don't see the pins now, so the sculpt I think looks way better than that one. So just a standard classic blue and red Spider-Man is all I was looking for. You know, he's going right up on the shelf on my fire escape shelf with the rest of my Spider-Man figures, so he'll pretty much be in the same pose until the end of time. But one thing that really sold me on this figure, believe it or not, was just an accessory. And I really love this flattened mask accessory. So really cool. He does come with a Peter Parker head. So if you want to have him unmasked holding this, I think it looks really cool. So my number 6, Spider-Man. And for my number 5 pick, I'm going with Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine. So exciting to finally get some sort of blue and yellow representation of Wolverine in the movies and now in action figure form. I know the design isn't as accurate to the comics as people would have liked, but in 24 years, this is the closest we've gotten. You know, from the black leather suit to just seeing him in civilian clothes, we really never got a chance to see it until now. So for me, it's just kind of an exciting way to immortalize that moment on the shelf with this action figure. It's a pretty great action figure. There are some things I wish were better. You know, overall aesthetic and design, I think it's a great sculpt. I do like the mix of blue and yellow. The claws are great. They're not those cheap claws. They really got the mask look down. I think they did a great job there. They did an amazing upgrade and job on the Hugh Jackman face sculpt. So I think that looks really cool. I think that the face printing technology has gotten way better since the first Hugh Jackman that we got. You know, I did my Deadpool Wolverine diorama. That is off to a new home right now, so hopefully they're getting some good use out of that. But I had a lot of fun just kind of building that diorama in anticipation for this figure, because I would just want to get some cool photos and really recreate that scene. The biggest thing is that, and I know Hasbro would never do it, they should have included some just bare arms to kind of connect. And they're probably going to re-release the figure again, but you never really see him in the mask and the long sleeves, which everybody knows. But you could pop it out with the older Wolverine. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm fine with it. And if they ever do come out with another one and it's discounted, then I'll get it. But for now, I'm going to put this as my number 5, Wolverine. For my number 4 pick, I'm going with Zabu, the Build-A-Figure. And really excited about this one. You know, Hasbro, especially with G.I. Joe Classified, has been killing it with the animal line. I think if Hasbro really wanted to make a new toy line, they can just do a whole line of animals, whether it's household pets, jungle animals, forest animals, and market it to girls. But we know action figure collectors would actually buy it. So you can open up the market between the two demographics, but I really think that they have something here. So whenever there's an animal, I am all about it. The Zabu figure has been long awaited. I know there was that 3-pack from so long ago, and we did get Kazar, but we did not get the other character that we're looking for, and that is the She-Devil. So hopefully she's in the works. They're probably not going to make her as sexy as she is in the comics, but I think there's a chance we will at least get some version of her. I know they teased Professor X in his jumpsuit outfit, which is pretty cool, but I think they knocked it out of the park with this one. Sculpt, articulation, again, they're doing really good with the animals, so this is probably some cross-contamination from the G.I. Joe line. They're learning how to do these things a lot better. Articulation at the mouth, and it's just a cool saber-tooth tiger that you get to keep on the shelf. So, number 4, Zabu. And for my number 3 pick, I'm going with Sabertooth from the Sabertooth and Wolverine 2-pack. While that Wolverine is not exactly my favorite, I have wanted a larger Sabertooth for a long time. I'm sure most of you have. I had that other Sabertooth from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave, and I love that figure mostly because it was an $80 figure, and I found it loose for $8. So it was kind of hard to part with it because it was the best steal I ever found. But we desperately needed a bigger version. So I think this is either on Caliban or the Omega Red body, but a much needed upgrade for that Sabertooth. I would even like it to be a little bigger. So if they came out with a bigger one, I might get it. Older buck, so the pins are still there, at least on the legs, but I think they really nailed it with this one. So finally, a Sabertooth that is not the same size as your Wolverine. He does look more imposing, a little chunky, and I'm really happy to finally get him in the display. And for my number 2 pick, I'm going with Cable, and I love this figure. I love Cable. I have the Sasquatch version that came out a couple years ago, and I don't know why Hasbro does not make more different Cables. Back in the 90s, we were getting all sorts of variants of Cable, and I had a bunch of them. If they made this Cable in completely white and black, like the one I had as a kid, I would definitely buy that. But a classic blue and yellow Cable was long overdue, so I'm really happy we got it. Some notable things here. I do like that the head sculpt kind of makes him look a little younger with that more stylized hair. They actually put deco on the weapons. My one gripe with this figure is that it is completely pinless for the most part. So his legs are pinless. That arm is pinless, but for some reason, the right arm is not pinless. So I don't know why they didn't go the extra mile and just make it completely pinless, but still, to get a new version of Cable on the shelf, I had to buy it, and I will buy any other version of Cable that comes out from this point on. Now for some honorable mentions, and these figures, one came towards the end of the year, the middle, and at the very beginning. So I guess I'll start with the Tracksuit Mafia. This figure came out in 2023, but I didn't get it in hand until well into 2024. So technically, he should be part of last year's, but I was really excited to finally get these. They're showing up at Ollie's right now. I hope I can find some more because I only bought 2. But these things could be used in any display. You just want to have some street gangs, whatever line you want to use them in. You don't have to use them for Marvel Legends. I just think they're really cool. They came with a whole bunch of cool accessories. The one right there is the Molotov cocktail. Thought that was super cool. Then the next character as an honorable mention is Wolfsbane. I don't think the figure is terribly that great, but it does round out your X Factor display. And I think they can totally reuse the sculpt and finally give us that Feral to finish that team. I think long overdue. So not a great figure, but I think the potential of what that sculpt means is we might be getting that Feral soon. And then for a first time in the line, the Beyonder. Really cool figure. I like the disco look. I know a lot of people don't, but I actually bought him for a different reason. We're getting married, and we're gonna make a bunch of fairy houses throughout the wedding, so people can kind of go in and open the door and look in, and we're gonna have a dance scene because we love music. I'm gonna pair the Beyonder body with my Selfie Series head, and then my fiance's Selfie Series head with the Dazzler, and then have them in sort of a disco scene, and then people can like leave little messages in the fairy house if they want. So, but pretty important if you were trying to build out your Secret Wars display. So these are some of my honorable mentions. And for my number one pick, I'm going with the MCU Outrider 2-pack. This is an army builder. This has been long anticipated, definitely on a lot of people's want list. They were heavily featured in Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So to finally get some army builders, you know, we got the Black Order twice. We got them as single releases, and then we got that Black Order 5-pack, which was amazing. They definitely did some nice upgrades to the Black Order there. But the shelf looks so empty because you have so many of the heroes and not enough villains. So I don't know if they would ever do it. I would love to see some of those more generic soldiers that were in that battle, but they gotta give us Chitauri if they've given us the Outriders, right? I mean, I think they did a really good job with the 4 limbs, the 4 arms at the top, and I haven't had problems posing them. I know some people, you know, have some gripes with the posability. I'm a simple guy. I put my figures into that one pose, and then that's where they live. So to finally get the Outriders on the shelf, I bought 2 packs of these, so I got 4, and there goes 1. But while he's down, you know, I think they did a really good job with the gold inlay. You know, it's really, they can't use this sculpt ever again. What else can they use it for? So they actually did put some effort in here, and that gold metallic finish I think came out really well. I love the face sculpt. You get 2 different options, which is cool. So you kind of have the horned one. I don't know if that's like the leader, but they just look super menacing. I love their claws. So that's why these guys have made it to my number 1. I think they did a really good job with the design, but also I have been anticipating. These were on my wish list last year, and we finally got them. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 10 Marvel Legends of the year. I don't think last year I even had 10 to create a top 10 list, but I did buy substantially more Marvel Legends this year, or at least if I did last year, there was not enough that I think warranted a top 10 list. None of them were my favorite. They were just ones that I got just to get. So this year I thought there were some really cool entries, and I'm really glad that I was able to round out the shelf with some of these characters. So that's all I got, folks. I have probably my top 10 figure list of the year that I'm going to work on before the end of the year. And I always end the year off with a room tour. So I'm going to start working on that as well. Just got to clean off some shelves. But until the next episode, we'll catch you next time.